Walker, Texas Ranger, 1993 to 2001, was more than just a hit TV show. It became a cultural phenomenon, known for its thrilling action, strong moral themes, and the unforgettable presence of Chuck Norris as the stoic hero, Cordell Walker. While fans still remember the high-kicking justice and dramatic storylines, few know the tragic real-life stories behind some of the show's beloved stars. In this video, we take a closer look at the actors who brought these memorable characters to life but have since passed away, some far too soon. From unexpected deaths to personal struggles, we honor their legacy and explore the heartbreaking moments that occurred after the cameras stopped rolling. Clarence Gilyard Jr. was born on December 24, 1955 and played James Trevette in 1993 at age 38. On screen, Trevette was the tech-savvy, polished foil to Walker's brawn, a character grounded in logic and loyalty. Yet behind that smooth professionalism, Gilyard's life held deep, unsettling contrasts. A born-again Christian who taught theater at UNLV, he presented himself as a man of unwavering faith. But whispers within Hollywood circles spoke of a turbulent inner world, 2 divorces, one marred by allegations of emotional volatility and infidelity. Colleagues quietly noted his erratic behavior and periods of isolation during filming. Long before his academic career, Gilyard struggled with cocaine addiction in the early 80s, a battle he rarely discussed. Though he claimed redemption through faith, some insiders questioned whether his theatrical turn to religious fervor was more penance than belief. He died on November 28, 2022, aged 66, after a prolonged illness, leaving behind a legacy laced with brilliance and secrecy. Floyd Red Crow Westerman, born August 17, 1936, stepped into the role of Uncle Ray in 1993 at age 57. The wise native elder on screen, Westerman carried the weight of his Lakota heritage and spiritual guidance into his performances. But beneath that gravitas was a man relentlessly hunted by the trauma of cultural displacement. A boarding school survivor, Westerman's early years were defined by forced assimilation, which bred a lifelong distrust of institutions, including the entertainment industry. His activism, while noble, often clashed with producers, who considered him uncooperative and too political. Rumors circulated of on-set feuds over stereotypical writing and unpaid consulting fees. He was also notoriously reclusive, avoiding press and public appearances unless they furthered indigenous causes. Friends confided he never fully recovered from losing his only son to suicide, a wound he buried under activism. He died on December 13, 2007 from leukemia, aged 71, a revered elder to many, but one who bore scars few ever saw. Noble Willingham, born August 31, 1931, joined Walker, Texas Ranger in 1993 at age 62 as C.D. Parker, the sage bar owner whose gruff charm belied a wounded past. While his character dished out wisdom and barbecue, Willingham's real life took a darker turn after fame struck late. Following a failed congressional run in Texas, where rumors swirled of backroom deals and undeclared donations, he withdrew from public life, bitter and disillusioned. Industry peers spoke of his increasing paranoia on set, convinced he was being blacklisted after publicly criticizing Hollywood's liberal leanings. Divorced and estranged from one of his children, Willingham reportedly drowned himself in bourbon and Fox News, railing against the system that once embraced him. Crew members recalled a man increasingly difficult to direct, frequently delaying scenes with unsolicited political rants. He died of natural causes on January 17, 2004, aged 72, a man once loved on screen but tormented by off-screen demons. Lou Hancock, born February 25, 1924, was 69 when she first portrayed Mabel Shoop in 1993, a sweet-natured clerk and unlikely love interest to C.D. Parker. But beneath her kindly demeanor lay a career fraught with bitter turns. Once a promising theater darling in Texas, Hancock's dreams of stardom were sabotaged by an early Hollywood casting couch experience she never publicly named but never forgot. Shunned by major studios after rejecting a producer's advances in the 50s, she returned to teaching drama, quietly furious at the system that froze her out. Her late life return to screen work was tinged with both pride and pain. She allegedly had frequent on-set clashes with younger actresses whom she considered entitled and green. Hancock also harbored a deep resentment toward her ex-husband, a failed writer she once accused of sabotaging her career out of jealousy. She succumbed to multiple myeloma on December 1, 1995, aged 71, a woman who wore a smile on camera but nursed wounds the industry never acknowledged. Robert Wall was born on August 22, 1939 and took on the role of Billy in 1994 at age 55, a minor part, yet he left a lasting impression. A martial arts titan and Chuck Norris confidant, Wall's exterior was discipline and power. But Hollywood insiders whispered of a man obsessed with dominance, not just in the dojo, but on set. He was infamous for undermining less experienced stuntmen, reportedly insisting on full-contact hits during choreographed fights. Though never publicly exposed, several protégés left his training camps citing psychological abuse. Wall allegedly manipulated his connection to Bruce Lee, exaggerating their bond to open doors in an industry that often typecast him. Known to inflate his resume, he clashed with producers over screen time and reportedly lobbied aggressively for more lines on Walker. Despite these shadows, his public image remained untarnished. He died on January 30, 2022 at 82, cause undisclosed, an enigmatic fighter who played by his own rules and silenced dissent with a grin. Eloy Casados, born on September 28, 1949, played Sheriff Sam Coyote in 1996 at the age of 47, embodying the calm, spiritual Native American archetype with measured grace. While he publicly championed Native representation and was even inducted into the American Cowboy Hall of Fame, privately, he struggled with his identity, often lamenting in interviews how Hollywood commodified his heritage for token roles. His artistic ambitions were frequently stifled by systemic racism, leading to multiple confrontations with producers. Though never charged, rumors swirled for years that he was investigated in the early 2000s for financial mismanagement involving a short-lived Native American arts nonprofit he helped launch. Friends claimed he battled with chronic depression and heavy alcohol use following a tumultuous divorce that left him estranged from his only son. His directorial projects were marred by accusations of erratic behavior and mistreatment of crew. When he passed away on April 19, 2016, at the age of 66, no cause of death was disclosed. Ned Romero, born December 4, 1926, took on the role of Judge Henry Five Kills in 1998 at age 72, a role that matched his long-standing portrayal of wisdom, dignity, and Native identity. But Romero's life was far from serene. Behind the majestic operatic voice and composed demeanor lay decades of resentment. Typecast for much of his career into Native or tribal roles, Romero privately despised the industry's refusal to see beyond his ethnicity. In the 1970s, he had a nervous breakdown after losing the lead in a major Broadway production to a white actor in makeup. Despite his classical training, he was repeatedly rejected by mainstream theater. His personal life bore scars too. He was briefly married to a fellow opera singer, but their union ended explosively after accusations of infidelity and emotional abuse. In his later years, Romero grew increasingly bitter, lashing out at directors and walking off sets. Though revered by some, others in the industry described him as intimidating and emotionally volatile. He died quietly on November 4, 2017, in Palm Desert, California, at the age of 90. Dennis Letts was born on September 5, 1934, and portrayed Fred Garrett in Walker, Texas Ranger in 1994 at age 60. On screen, he played the wise elder, a grounded voice of reason in a chaotic world. Off-screen, Letts was respected in literary and theatrical circles, but there was a complicated duality to his life. Long before his late-life acting career, Letts was a strict, often emotionally distant father, whose perfectionism left deep psychological marks on his children, something his son, Pulitzer-winning playwright Tracy Letts, subtly reflected in his dark family dramas. Though celebrated for his intellect, those close to him described a man tormented by the tension between ambition and regret. Behind his affable public persona, Letts privately struggled with the shame of abandoning a tenured position to chase Hollywood recognition in his 50s, an act his academic peers quietly mocked. In 2007, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, a condition he reportedly kept hidden for months out of fear that it would tarnish his late-blooming career. He died on February 22, 2008, in Tulsa at the age of 73. Rod Taylor, born January 11, 1930, played Gordon Cahill in 1996 at age 66, portraying Walker's estranged father with gravitas and inner torment. Off-camera, Taylor's life was a tempest of broken romances, public blow-ups, and burning ambition. Once a matinee idol in the 60s, he fell hard from Hollywood grace. He was notorious for his short temper, punching a director in 1971, threatening a reporter in 1982, and earning a reputation as Australia's most difficult export. His affairs with co-stars like Anita Ekberg and accusations of emotional abuse by an ex-wife were tabloid fuel. He was a heavy drinker, and those close to him whispered of violent outbursts that made even veteran crews uneasy. Despite starring in classics like The Time Machine and The Birds, Taylor spent his later years doing obscure voice work in small TV roles, resenting the fame that had turned its back on him. His final screen appearance came in *Inglourious Bastard*, a quiet nod to a long-forgotten legend. He died of a heart attack on January 7, 2015, in Beverly Hills, at age 84, just 4 days shy of his 85th birthday. Michael Parks was born on April 24, 1940, and played Caleb Hooks in 1996 at age 56. Known for playing morally murky loners, Parks brought a dangerous charm to Walker. But that intensity was rooted in a real-life reputation as one of Hollywood's most volatile actors. He was famously fired from Then Came Bronson and later blacklisted for insubordination and repeated clashes with producers. Industry insiders called him brilliant but insufferable, and rumors of physical altercations with co-stars circulated for decades. Parks battled addiction quietly, particularly to painkillers following a motorcycle accident, and was suspected of being drunk on set more than once. He had a troubled marriage that ended after allegations of emotional abuse, and his son publicly criticized him for being present in body but absent in every other way. Tarantino later revived his career, but the demons never fully left. Parks died on May 9, 2017, in Los Angeles at age 77. The cause of death was never disclosed. James Drury was born on April 18, 1934, and played Captain Tom Price in 1993 at the age of 59. In Walker, Texas Ranger, his character was a rigid, commanding officer, symbolizing law and order grit. But behind the facade of TV's Western nobility, Drury's off-screen life told a more complex tale. After his iconic success in The Virginian, his career hit a dead end when Hollywood turned its back on classic westerns. Rumors swirled about his growing resentment toward younger actors and his bitter clashes with producers. His personal life was equally stormy: 2 failed marriages, including a particularly messy divorce involving accusations of infidelity and verbal abuse. His estranged relationship with one of his sons became tabloid fodder when the Sun penned a blog accusing Drury of emotional neglect. Friends noted his increasing reclusion in later years, possibly spurred by his struggle with early signs of dementia and lingering bitterness over a career that faded too soon. Drury died on April 6, 2020, in Houston, Texas, at 85 due to natural causes. August Schellenberg, born July 25, 1936, portrayed Billy Grey Wolf in 1994 at the age of 58. Revered for bringing spiritual gravitas to the screen, his Walker character echoed his lifelong advocacy for indigenous rights. But his path to respect was paved with controversy. In the Canadian acting scene of the 1970s, he was known for violent outbursts and once allegedly punched a director over a casting dispute. His activism often blurred into militancy. He walked off set mid-production more than once over script issues involving Native misrepresentation. Behind the scenes, his marriage endured public strain, with reports of infidelity and emotional abuse surfacing in court documents from a bitter separation that never led to divorce. He lost his younger brother to suicide in the 1990s, an event that reportedly plunged him into a spiral of depression and heavy drinking, though this was quietly managed behind the scenes. Schellenberg died of lung cancer on August 15, 2013, in Dallas, Texas, at age 77. Marla Adams was born on August 28, 1938, and appeared as Betsy Harper in 2000 at age 62. Her role brought class and emotional depth to Walker, a brief but notable counterweight to its testosterone-fueled core. But the reality behind her dignified soap opera queen image was far less pristine. After decades in daytime television, Adams was reportedly blacklisted for a period in the 80s following volatile on-set behavior and allegations of backstabbing co-stars to secure storylines. Industry whispers accused her of having an affair with a powerful married producer, which some say explained her mysterious casting resurgence later in life. Her family life was haunted by her long battle to reconnect with a daughter who publicly disowned her over a supposed childhood spent chasing fame, not motherhood. In her final years, Adams reportedly suffered from dementia, a grim decline for someone who once ruled daytime drama with icy precision. She died on April 25, 2024, in Los Angeles at the age of 85. Carmen Argenziano, born October 27, 1943, portrayed George Vickers in 1994 at age 51. Always the steely-eyed authority figure, Argenziano seemed the embodiment of discipline. Yet his personal life was a carousel of dysfunction. While his resume boasted Stargate SG-1, many forget he was fired from 2 major projects in the late 80s for being impossible to direct. He was known to berate junior crew members, and once reportedly threatened a screenwriter who dared rewrite his dialogue. Privately, he endured a tempestuous marriage that ended when his wife filed for divorce citing mental cruelty and emotional volatility. A bitter custody battle followed, and he rarely spoke to his son again. Colleagues hinted at his secret gambling addiction, with debts forcing him into low-budget films well beneath his skill level. Though a respected actor's actor, he carried heavy personal regret into his final years. Carmen Argenziano died on February 10, 2019, in Los Angeles at age 75. The cause of death was not disclosed. Steve Reevis, born August 14, 1962, played Jake Stonecrow in 1997 at age 35. His character was spiritual and centered, but off-screen, Reevis was a man constantly battling an identity torn between reverence and rage. A proud Blackfeet member, he bore the burden of representation in an industry that tokenized him. Behind his gentle smile lay a storm, struggles with alcohol, a DUI arrest in 2013, and whispers of breakdowns during shoots. He often clashed with producers over stereotypical portrayals, reportedly storming off sets when scripts crossed the line. Though married with children, his personal life was marred by legal troubles, including a domestic incident that was quietly buried by lawyers. He was known to disappear from family for days, retreating into isolation on reservations or remote towns, reportedly wrestling with depression and unresolved trauma. Despite his cultural pride, he remained an outsider in both Hollywood and his own fractured personal circles. He died on December 7, 2017, in Missoula, Montana, at the age of 55, with the cause of death undisclosed. Gwen Verdon was born on January 13, 1925, and played Maisie Whitman in Walker, Texas Ranger in 1997 at the age of 72. Maisie was quirky and kind, a light-hearted character that allowed Verdon's charm to shine through, echoing her Broadway finesse. But behind the sparkle, Verdon's later life was a swirl of fading spotlight and long-buried tensions. Her glory years with Bob Fosse were as turbulent as they were brilliant, marked by affairs, control, and psychological tug-of-war. Though often painted as Fosse's muse, she privately suffered under his infidelities and manipulations. After decades in the limelight, she found herself increasingly sidelined by an industry infatuated with youth. Her marriage to Fosse, riddled with betrayal and public estrangement, left lasting emotional scars. In her final years, whispers circulated about her strained relationships with collaborators, particularly over her fierce protectiveness of Fosse's legacy, which alienated some in the dance world. Verdon passed away from a heart attack on October 18, 2000, in Woodstock, Vermont, at the age of 75. Geno Silva, born January 20, 1948, played El Coyote in 1996 at age 48. Known for stoic, menacing roles, Silva's presence was chilling both on and off screen. El Coyote was enigmatic and ruthless, a mirror to Silva's own guarded life. Despite industry respect, Silva battled rumors of friction with directors due to his brooding temperament and refusal to do press. He kept his private life locked tight, but whispers from insiders told of a long estrangement from his siblings and an unresolved lawsuit in the early 90s regarding a real estate dispute. Some accused him of being manipulative behind closed doors, using his intimidating aura to silence crew members during conflicts. Though married, his relationships were speculated to be open secrets in Hollywood's quiet corners, affairs with co-stars, heavy drinking and downtime, and a history of vanishing from projects without explanation. He succumbed to complications from frontotemporal degeneration on May 9, 2020, in Los Angeles, at the age of 72. Robert Forster was born on July 13, 1941, and appeared in Walker, Texas Ranger in 1995 at age 54, as Lane Tillman, a character rooted in stoicism and moral ambiguity, traits that mirrored Forster's career arc. But what many didn't see behind that quiet strength was a man wrestling with prolonged obscurity and a bitter divorce that cost him almost everything. Once pegged as a leading man in the 70s, he spent nearly 2 decades in cinematic purgatory, relegated to B-movies and bit roles, often taking them just to survive. A failed marriage left him financially strapped, while he struggled to reconnect with estranged children. Though his comeback with Jackie Brown earned him an Oscar nod, the industry's praise couldn't erase years of being typecast and forgotten. Insiders noted his quiet bitterness and perfectionism on set, which, while masked in professionalism, was occasionally interpreted as passive hostility. Forster died of brain cancer on October 11, 2019, in Los Angeles, at the age of 78. Burt Young was born on April 30, 1940, and portrayed Jack Soldier Belmont in 1996 at age 56. Belmont was gritty, shadowy, a persona Young didn't need to fake. Off-screen, his life was steeped in old-school Bronx grit, mob whispers, and toxic masculinity. A former Marine-turned-boxer-turned-actor, Young never fully outran the underworld he once brushed shoulders with. Hollywood embraced his rough edges, but they came with real-life volatility, late-night benders, bar fights, and decades-long estrangement from his daughter, who reportedly accused him of emotional abuse. While he was known for playing losers and streetwise men, few knew how close those roles were to his personal demons, gambling debts, broken friendships, and bitter feuds with producers over being difficult. His temper was legendary. Some directors vowed never to work with him again after on-set meltdowns. Despite his artistic streak as a painter, he remained tormented. Burt Young died on October 8, 2023, in Los Angeles, at the age of 83. Jeep Swenson was born January 5, 1957, and played Jumbo Stark in Walker, Texas Ranger in 1993 at the age of 36. His character was a hulking villain, much like his real-life persona, which blurred the line between man and myth. Behind the curtain of fame, he was known for violent outbursts, once breaking a stagehand's jaw over a lighting cue. His wrestling days were marked by feuds, not just scripted ones. He was banned from multiple promotions for backstage brawls and was once sued by a fellow wrestler over a bar fight that left permanent damage. Swenson's volatile marriage ended after his wife filed a restraining order, citing physical abuse and threats during drug-fueled rages. He was addicted to painkillers by his mid-30s, a dependency he kept hidden while filming. The role of Bane in Batman and Robin was meant to launch his mainstream career, but insiders say he was nearly recast due to frequent absences and rumored heart complications. On August 18, 1997, at just 40 years old, he died of heart failure, a tragic and predictable end to a man who lived like he was unbreakable. Mako, born December 10, 1933, played Dr. Henry Lee in Walker, Texas Ranger in 1997 at the age of 64. His character was principled and intellectual, reflecting Mako's public persona as a champion for Asian American visibility. But behind the accolades and activism was a man haunted by deep personal contradictions. Though praised for founding East-West Players, Mako privately fought bitterly with colleagues over creative control, and several protégés later accused him of being emotionally manipulative. His marriage, though long-lasting on paper, was riddled with infidelity. He maintained an affair with a younger actress for over a decade, which insiders say left his family fractured. Professionally, Mako was blacklisted from several mainstream projects after fiery clashes with producers who found him too combative. Despite his refined public image, he was known to berate crew members over minor mistakes and insisted on dictating wardrobe choices even for minor roles. He died on July 21, 2006, from esophageal cancer at the age of 72. Ed Lauter was born October 30, 1938, and portrayed Silas Beto in Walker, Texas Ranger in 1997 at the age of 59. His character, much like his typical roles, was stern and no-nonsense, traits he embraced with ruthless intensity off-screen. Lauter was a notorious perfectionist who clashed with directors and once stormed off set over a line rewrite. Behind the scenes, he had a reputation for belittling co-stars, particularly younger ones, whom he saw as undeserving of fame. His volatile temper cost him recurring roles on 3 major series. Lauter's first wife left him after citing emotional tyranny, and his second marriage was plagued by rumors of affairs with co-stars. Despite his prolific career, Lauter died deeply in debt after a failed investment in a low-budget film he tried to produce himself, which collapsed amid lawsuits and accusations of mismanaged funds. In his final years, he was diagnosed with mesothelioma, which he believed was caused by years spent filming in old, asbestos-ridden studio lots. He passed away on October 16, 2013, at the age of 74. Molly McClure, born January 19, 1919, played an elderly woman in Walker, Texas Ranger in 1995 at age 76. Her on-screen charm had decades of emotional isolation and lost dreams. McClure entered acting late in life, but only after a bitter divorce from a preacher husband who disapproved of her ambitions. Her children reportedly never forgave her for leaving the family home and barely spoke to her in her final decades. Though she played sweet roles, McClure was known in casting circles as passive-aggressive and overly controlling, often demanding script changes for even the smallest parts. In 1997, she became briefly infamous when a lawsuit alleged she had borrowed thousands from a younger actor with promises of mentorship, only to sever ties after spending the money. While the case was settled privately, her reputation in Hollywood soured. She lived her final years in a modest assisted living facility in Texas, rarely visited and often described as reclusive. McClure died of renal failure on August 15, 2008, at the age of 89. Who's your favorite character in Walker, Texas Ranger? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.